Hello. Welcome back to Tablebreakers. Tonight, Jade is with family, and if you have any happy thoughts, any positive thoughts, go ahead, send them to Jade as he is doing the husbandly thing to do. When one member of the family is down, the other family members stand up and carry them, and that is exactly where he's at. Good luck, Jade. You guys got this. All right. In his steed, please welcome our guest DM tonight, the Crafting Gamer.
Hello.
How are you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good.
Fantastic. I don't want to have you get all anxious here. There you go. Okay, so tonight's story, or tonight's work that we're going to be working with, is going to be poisons and potions in tabletop role-playing games. As an Italian, I approve. Baron G Rock, are you the originator of this particular topic?
I think it was one that was suggested a long ass time ago, and it just kind of came around. So I don't remember who suggested it. It might have been a Jade.
It sounds like a Jade.
It sounds like a Jade. The reason why I went with the racial statement there about the Italian, as an Italian, I approve. There's quite a bit of poisons used in the old world of Italy. And for those of you that are fans of popular cinema, about 20 years ago, there was a movie that came out called Brotherhood of the Wolf, or Pack de Loup. And the wonderful Monica Bellucci is in that movie, and she says something rather revealing about Italian history that many others in modern culture don't realize. Florentine women, there was a large poisoners guild with a bunch of associates and such, and we talked about guilds a couple weeks ago on Gatekeepers, and the poisoners guild would actually administer to the wives of Florence a poison to give to their husbands in the morning before he left for work. And they would also supply the antidote, which was to be administered at supper. And that was how Florentine women kept married and not widowed.
There's a great line from Churchill about poison. A woman says, "If I was your wife, I would poison your tea." And he says, "Ma'am, if you were my wife, I would drink said tea." I didn't get completely right, but
no, you got it pretty right on the dot there, Connell. You did very well with that.
And then I'm reminded of the scene from The Princess Bride. Sicilians.
Inconceivable. I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah, that's another good example of Italian Sicilian culture making its way to the modern era screen, and damn it, I wish we didn't.
So we have, or Baron in his free time, because he is a very busy man, has came up with some questions. I think somebody is asking, not me, not this guy. I think Shadow should do it. He's so good at it.
You mean because they're so similar to the last ones I read?
If the shoes fit.
I do have them up. If you like, I can do so.
Before we get started on that, let me pay some bills here real quick. For those of you that like great coffee, I mean great coffee, let me introduce you to my little friends. This is the Fowler's Makery and Mischief. This is a good little caramely medium roast. It's got a little bit of sweetness attached to this, but these beans are a fabulous way to start your day. You grind these suckers up, and this is how you do it, kids. This is one of the signature blends, I believe. Fowler's Makery Mischief. There's some other good blends they have. Morning Reaper is actually my favorite, but Blackout Coffee, great people, strong constituents of strong proponents of the First Amendment, and most importantly, the Second Amendment. Because when the First Amendment fails, go to the Second. Anyway, we've got some information here, and Barrett G Rock has a code there for discount. If it won't accept that, it should accept that. Keep that code Baron G Rock available, or keep this in your tagline. Either of those should get you a discount there. And sign up for their texts. Sign up for their text right now. They've got a special on chocolate on their hot chocolate stuff. So it's not like it was last November, but it's not November yet. I expect in November they're going to do a massive hot chocolate sale. Last year they did a 60% off. It's freaking great.
Now, those who are not coffee drinkers, they do sell tea, and the tea is, I've been told, quite amazing.
Hold on. I believe I have some of their Earl Grey right here.
Oh, the Grey of the Earl.
Yes. Yes, this is their version of Earl Grey. And this is a really neat peachy sensation black tea. My bad. I had the Earl Grey in the kitchen. But this stuff here is damn near gold. And you see the little peach shavings right there. This stuff is freaking great. I drink this hot. I like it hot with honey.
Careful, Bruce.
My wife-
That looks like a particular item.
What?
Careful, Bruce. That looks like a particular item.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a video adultified because of doing something similar.
Listen, if the YouTube censors suck that bad, we will take this show to Rumble exclusively and get the Dan Bongino discount that they give us, and we will be happy.
For a second, I thought I was sitting next to an Asian restaurant. I thought I heard dog.
I know, right?
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
So anyway, yeah, they have tea, hot chocolate, and coffee. Blackout Coffee is your stop. There are other good coffee brands out there, but that's the one that primarily I'm either chewing or drinking. I can tell you they're great.
I hope they get chocolate coated coffee beans soon. Maybe I should go suggest
Oh,
that to them.
espresso beans, chocolate covered espresso beans.
Yeah, I love chowing on those.
You know, I was the one kid in my family. It's like, oh, little coffee beans. Who wants to make Connell take a nap? Oh, wait, I do. Hey, Connell, have some coffee beans. It works every time.
See, I love those people that coffee makes them fall asleep. Coffee makes me get amazing. Like I should be sucking on coffee right now. Hold on. Okay. While I'm getting prepped, Kai, haven't said hello to you yet. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing okay.
Fantastic. You look like you've had a day like what I had.
Yes.
Okay. I had a shit day.
I want to brag about my 21-year-old stepkid for half a second.
Oh.
This month has been my birthday was early this month, and he didn't give me a birthday present. And I'm like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. The kiddo goes out. I can't remember where the ring went out and bought me a cigar that was old enough to smoke itself. It was an 18-year-old stogie from Gurkha's, and oh my God, was it amazing. So I, as a cigar DM, I figure I should brag A, about a really nice cigar, and B, my stepkid did something really cool.
Sounds like you got a good kid there.
Laszlo is a great kid. I need to get him in the same room with Jade so he can get all this car talk out of his system, because he'll go on and on and on, and well, I don't do cars. It's like Jack in politics. You just, you crank his gear a little bit, and you watch it go beep, 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 and you just walk away as some other person now has to deal with. By the way, I'm like, you poor deaf bastards. It's like St. Kai over there. We get on a topic where he hasn't been St. Kai-ish here recently, because he gets all his ranting, his scripture out on a Saturday show with Bruce that everybody should be out there watching.
Actually, the reviews from that aren't coming back bad for just me and him, and we're like the two made for radio guys. I'm telling you, like, we're actually getting some pretty good views, and people are talking about it, so I'm pretty happy.
I enjoy watching it. I'll even comment a few times if I actually have something intelligent to say, so I don't say much.
I don't know. Kai didn't rant on my show.
No.
Yes, Baron, I set that one up just for you.
Well, you have to pay Kai the correct amount of money, or you just have to threaten to take away all of his loot when you're the DM, and then you get the rant from hell.
No. You don't give him loot. You just make him suffer at coppers per adventure, and then after about 150% past his level up point, when he's working on his next level, and he's like, I has no money for training. I has no money for training. How am I supposed to enjoy this game if I have to continuously flush money out my asshole and not pay for food, starve, get training, go through training on an empty stomach? How am I supposed to live? This is not the way a man is supposed to live. I'm about ready to launch myself through the DM screen and strangle your neck. That's how you...
Fuck your campaign. Fuck your campaign world. It's time to instigate a revolution that will burn it down. I will find a dark god that will acknowledge my existence, and then I will invoke its powers, and then figure out how to open up hell and obliterate whatever beautiful world that you've written for yourself, whatever masturbatory little fuck shit face hole that you made yourself, some little Final Fantasy, little Lord of the Rings happy land that you decide that this is how you think the world is supposed to be, and how you're going to write this thing. No, it's going to be, I'm going to literally try to derail it in a way that Amtech will go, shit, I'm taking notes.
And then,
wow, I'm so glad
the
Kai
ultimate
is fractionist in my game.
The ultimate slap in his face is as soon as he makes contact with that dark god, you end the game right there.
I will fucking find somewhere else to be. You know what? I got other things to do tonight. I can fucking be anywhere else on this fucking planet besides your shitty table. Eat a dick. Go sit there and have a little circle jerk with your little fucking friend group that you have. Your little happy little group of friends that all sit there and go, we're all happy, we're playing together, and go fuck yourself. I'm gonna go find something else to do somewhere else.
I want to
see circle jerk with yourselves.
I want to see Kai back in high school. I want to see when a teacher pissed him off, if he was able to keep the embodied rage intact into his gut, because that's where men keep rage. They keep it in their gut. Or the guy say, oh, fuck this. By the way, bitch, I got questions.
Well, the thing is that it's either that happens or the when they start to get the hint of the domain play, just as Kai's fingers just start to tingle because I can get out all of the spreadsheets and I can do all the things and we can know how much wood for sheep there is. And don't even have to worry about playing, Catan, because I have a spreadsheet that tells me in my kingdom what it is. And then you just take away the spreadsheets and say, we're not doing domain play today.
Now that we poisoned Kai against us, let's get this going.
I ain't said a goddamn word.
You are a goddamn piece of shit fucking player. You gotta create Wallace level fucking bullshit custom rules because you can't play like a goddamn actual person. You can't play fair. You can't play like a nice person. You can't actually read the rules of good play. No, you gotta sit there and fucking masturbate to how much you gotta create custom rules, stack the deck so that way you can masturbate to how much. Look, I'm winning now that I've changed every rule to be in my favor. Wow. I went for the table, but unfortunately your fat fucking gut is on top of it, and I can't fucking do that. You know what? Go sit there with your little fucking goddamn little core of yes men. Your 5 fucking yes men who will suck your dick and worship your toes, so that way you can play your game so you always win. If you surround yourself with losers, you'll always win.
I wonder how much.
Don't worry, that makes your ego feel really fucking good, doesn't it? Man, I bet you file so good that you have to make house rule after house rule after house rule, so that way we can't actually have any fun. You know why I fucking run my own game for my own friends who are actually cool and I give them a lot of fun things? Because I've been around too many of you fucking useless shits who think that you have a nice little jokey game of it yourself. Man, I'm having so much fun laughing and pissing people off. Or how about you just fucking put on some goddamn big boy pants and learn to play a goddamn fair game? And if you lose, you lose. If you win, and we all have fun. No, you're gonna whine like a little fat cunt, and you're gonna go over there and bitch to your friends, and make sure that the guy who beat you using the rules can't win a second time. If he beats you a second time, you change the rules a third time and a fourth time, to the point where, man, all I can do is nothing useful. Eat a fucking dick.
Okay.
Now that we've
So-
got him awake and he's ready to go.
So yes, this is what happens. This is the effect of mixing a brew and it blowing up in your face. So we've done this with Pi as the catalyst here, and we love him because he is amazing.
I was calm and having a nice day. I was just a little tired. That's it.
Hey, David Guile. Yeah, you showed up to Massive Kai rant. Kai's been at that. Actually, I think that's a regurgitated speech he's had at frequent tables from 1999 to 2013.
Yes. Yeah. You can roll that one back. Actually, you can start those at about 1997. No, 96, 95 or so. Through 2013 or so.
Okay. I knew around 2014 your life went through a bit of a change, a good change. And after that, like, I've really not heard you unhappy with your table because you run your table. Maybe
Yeah.
that works. Yeah, David, Kai has played with some terrible people. Baron and I have played with terrible people. I'm sure a lot of you out there have played at some tables where you felt like you were the butt of a joke, level after game after game, and that's the problem that I've had a lot of times with quote unquote house rules, or somebody improperly using the written rules that doesn't read the rules, so they think that the way they misread rules is how the rules really are. Anyway, we're here to talk about plots, or not plots, poisons. Yes, poisons and potions. Break out the miscability charts, guys. You should have your own separate table. I'm sorry. Guy, have you ever thought about making an only feed account?
No.
I'm willing to bet that there's some people out there.
I don't know why, but when you say that, my first thought is Kai has big old hobbit feet.
I was thinking that too, to be honest.
Oh my god!
And you will never know.
I'm okay with that, though. I am very much
Yeah.
okay with that.
And for that, we thank you.
Yeah.
The intro to his page is the greatest adventure. Okay.
There's a song from our childhood that I could sing, but I don't want to do that. I want Kai to realize that sometimes, my friend, we do need to have a certain mindset out there. That way we set the tone for a night. And I believe for a topic like for poisons, and I am saying plots and poisons because that was a Drow book for 3.5 I've got. Really good book, actually.
I thought you just suddenly got a case of dyslexia.
No, it's but our topic tonight is poisons and potions, which every fucking time I sit down at somebody else's table, I get a new spiral notebook to copy for this campaign's poison rules, and that sucks. Soy Base Jeremy, you know what? If I had the means, yeah, we'd be doing it every other Saturday. You don't want to do it for too long, because I was at the Decatur Athletic Club. I was a member over there for many years. And then one day in 2006, they shut down the jacuzzi. And apparently some guy jacked it up to ultra setting, and he sat in it for about an hour and a half. He was silent. And at about 2.5 hours, somebody came by. Hey, you doing okay? He didn't respond. So they stopped the jets and they pulled him out in pieces because he came out in pieces. Like you grab him by the shoulder and arm, and like his torso separates. And then as you're grabbing stuff out, as you're
I think it
grabbing
was
bits
Bugs.
of.
Was his name Stewart?
No, should have been. His name should have been Stu.
As you
But
eat what probably looked like him. Awesome.
I was thinking that Bugs Bunny out cartoon back in the day where he gets into a pot and he thinks it's a hot tub and they had carrots and celery. Yeah. That's about as far as into that cartoon as I'm going because everything else is almost a hate crime.
No, my favorite reference to that will always be Chicken Joe from Surf's Up 1.
So, poisons. How do we use the poison correctly, boys and girls?
And like David says, Delvers has its own rules for poison. So if you have a copy of Dungeons and Delvers, make sure you do read over that before you blast through a poison section. I'm just saying. Yeah, Giggle Juice, you have to hydrate. An idea. Yeah, that guy came out in pieces. They closed down the jacuzzi for about maybe a week. Ain't already over. So
What? You need a half an hour max. Get that man soup out of there, give it a quick rinse, fill back up, back to business. That's some lazy ass shit.
This, my friend, is Illinois, and any chance they have to put up a cone anywhere, even in the middle of a private business, anytime they
Peking
can
has
put up
gone
a cone
orange.
and a caution tape, you're going to see the caution tape and the cones come out. Okay, any reason. So, should we start?
What am I doing because it don't look right? I'm actually making a
Your palette?
splotch board for the new paints that I got in so that I can actually kind of understand what they look like over a white primer so that I can kind of memorize them and get used to a whole new line of paint. They don't always look like what they look like at the bottom or kind of at the top of the bottle. And I tried putting a little white dot of paint here and then putting some paint on it, and it's just not enough to be able to see it from like 2 or 3 feet away, arm's reach where my paints are. I get a kind of rough idea, but I want to be able to memorize these. Yeah, that's just some weird shit, man. I can think of some gruesome ways to die, but
A giant stew pot on ultra agitation, not really my way to go. All right. So, have you everybody ready for their session for poisons and potions?
absolutely.
All right. Go ahead and let us begin.
Bring forth the questions.
You want me to read them?
Yes. What are you
Alrighty.
saying? What are you saying?
Okay.
Stop.
Okay. Not a problem. All right, guys. What are some common types of poisons and potions in tabletop role-playing games, and how can game masters and players use them to create dynamic and engaging game-playing experiences? I'm going to start with eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's just go with Bruce and go around the clock in clockwise fashion.
I actually don't like to make things up or alter things a whole lot because typically when I start doing that, because my players have everything saved on a hard drive in the cloud, should ever anything need to update, I have to wait for them to get their said character off the cloud and a usable state so they can view it. So whenever I like to pass out potions, I really don't want to alter it from the system I'm using. And that doesn't mean just Pathfinder. That's like any system. If I was running Dungeons and Delvers, if I'm running 3.5, if I'm going with Rift's Palladium Fantasy, which is a much better game than Rift's, if I was doing anything like that, I actually want to go with the actual item from the book. I will give it sometimes an alternate description because in the majority of games for fantasy, usually they tell you no potion ever looks alike, even though whenever you are playing a game like, say, Diablo, you'll collect 50 identical little health vials, which give you 50 hit points every time you right click this one and it disappears. It magically disappears. The entire glass thing disappears. You imbibe it all. You shit out glass later. It's great. And hey, Matt Brininger, it's really impressive that you can do that. Now, there are times where, say, like what Flady says, where you have a sneaky old salesman come along and he sells you a bunch of stuff which you think is a core rule book or a hardcover that everybody's got the book. So you can just turn to it. It's right there in the middle of the game. They say, I'm going to use this. And that's when you as a DM have to remember, hey, I sold this guy a potion of flatulence, but it's disguised as a potion of levitation. What? It's not a potion of levitation. You didn't identify it right whenever you bought it. What? And now, well, you might have a little bit of humor because there's a guy that has a potion of flatulence coming out of his asshole or coming out of his pores if he farts through his pores. However it is, now you have a guy that he's a little upset with you as a DM that this is in your game world. You've altered the game. You've made it to where he's a butt of a joke. And a little bit of trust between you and that player might be eroded. Because now they can't trust any potion vendors. Anytime you have an event vendor come along, people are thinking, oh, God, this guy's going to fuck us. Because anytime we have an event vendor where we have to have an actual role play session between me and the vendor, everything I'm buying is a joke gimmick. Like he sells me a rose, but instead it's a joy buzzer that I just received die 8 fucking electrical damage. Or I just got pricked by a thorn on this rose he sold me. And I'm going to have to save versus double X poison. And I'm going to strip down into my nethers. And I'm going to shit out 100 hit points of damage in a cone 90 degrees for about 45 feet. And the world will suffer. You know, whatever it is. So I don't like really altering a whole lot of things. I don't like doing event vendors a whole lot. I know this sounds lame for some people, but I don't want to do event vendors. And what I want to do typically whenever the players have earned their time to where they can rest, relax, use their gold the way they're supposed to, I give them the core rule book or I give them the list of items they're allowed to buy because maybe it's a small town. You can't buy a chainmail +4 here, sir. This is Pekin, Illinois. The most you can get is a masterwork chainmail. We don't sell magical chainmail here. And, you know, I've just insulted Connell, but sorry, Connell, that's your Pekin.
I wouldn't even say it's masterwork.
Well, it's not from the quarry. So anyway, you just have an event vendor. David Guile is a time where you have a vendor come up to the players and there's a role-playing session for something that should be easy to procure or something that the players could, if they had invested the time into learning how to craft themselves, they could do it themselves. But event vendors often are used to like sell potions of tonic, which are disguised as potions of healing, or potions of levitation, which are actually potions of flatulence. Or maybe you have a really vindictive vendor that he'll sell you all the normal shit until you get down to this 8th item on your list where, oh, yeah, that's the potion of cure moderate wounds. And that actually has got the right potion in there. But around the last top, if you have a perception roll of a 30 right before you drink it, you'll notice that it's glossing a little bit, and that's actually a contact poison that's meant to go on your lips. Roll for fortitude, and you do that. You know, event vendors, I feel, are okay to use every once in a while, but don't make them to where they're 90% of the time joke vendors where they sell crappy items or or misleading items to players. You can give items to players in like loot piles where they find it and they find out, well, it should be a potion of healing, but spoiled. So it actually is like a potion of illness. It's like a potion that gives you a -2 on everything for the next 4 days. Make a fortitude save after 2 days and see if you continue diarrhea. You let people discover the not so core rulebook items themselves. Don't make an event vendor to where they have a guy comes up and he's a snake oil salesman. I don't like doing that because one, you'll lose trust in your players, or they lose trust in you as a GM, and two, it really just makes it look like if you do that too often, you want your players to suffer, like right in front of you. Don't do that. Like, do it maybe once a campaign. And when I say campaign, once every 3 years. Don't do it that often.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Kai, question again?
Yes, please.
Damn it,
All
I
right.
bunny trailed.
What are some common types of poisons and potions in tabletop role-playing games, and how can game masters and players use these items to create dynamic and engaging game-playing experiences?
My favorite question on that, my favorite comment on that one always has to come down to is what variety of I think the average person, when they're going out shopping for poisons, should not be looking like. I like having a lot of poisons and a lot of people and a lot of chemistry and creativity in terms of how to make a more deadlier poison, but those shouldn't be on the common market. But you should know that they exist. People shouldn't be wandering around going, "It's a poison." No, they're used. They're used commonly. You're going to encounter them. You're probably nobody like half the monsters are poisonous in any way. So why is it? You should be able to just go down to the. I'm not going to say at the corner market, but hell, half the poisons out there are medicines. So the only difference between medicine and poison is simply the dosage. And
True. A lot of poisons are actually used as medicine.
right. And so I guess I like having the ability to, most people will go, oh, it's a complex thing and most people don't deal with it. But it's out there, it's available. There's somebody in town probably who knows how to mix them. The good stuff might be a little harder to get. The really good stuff might be really hard to get and in the hands of evil, nefarious underworld people or a corporation or a guild. Or you might have some crazy guy who walks into town going, you know what, I hate this castle. And then suddenly the entire castle dies. And yeah. And the thing is, we deal with either magic or nanotech, which is just techno magic, and other weird things. So yeah. And how I'm used to GMing is there's a lot of poison out there. And sometimes that good old fashioned classic type E might show up. Everyone, no, all poisons do stat damage there. Not this one. What's that? Type E poison, my friend. The good poison. The good stuff. The kill a dragon stuff. Oh, yeah, I still like that kind of stuff. And you might encounter it. But then again, you might also encounter mass use of war crimes gas or spicy wind. Really spicy wind. Because, massive irritants or people bleeding from their eyeballs. These are things you're going to encounter and should encounter because mankind is one of the most terrifying monsters you're going to encounter. And I like the idea of leaving vast tracts of land dead behind me because a alchemist got loose. I have a lot of books on poisoning in fantasy and in cyberpunk and in modern fantasy. Yeah, that's right. Or urban fantasy or modern day grungy. We're in the modern day. Yeah, poisoning, mass poison, chemical warfare, and biological toxins are definitely out there and should be used, should be known. But most people will probably go, "I have no idea. Poison bad. Don't drink don't drink bleach, kids."
Now there is a place where we can advocate for kids to go have Tide Pods. My bad.
Yes.
My bad.
Only in Minecraft.
Hey, I like Minecraft.
I do too.
Crafty, same question. Yes, I'll
you're
be
gonna have
happy to
repeat
read
the
it.
question.
What are some common types of poisons and potions in tabletop RPGs, and how can game masters and players use these items to create dynamic and engaging gameplay experiences?
Well, as a GM, I didn't spend that much time with healing potions. Most of the time, it was either natural healing or magical healing. But I did allow the players have a lot of antidotes to venoms and poisons, especially given the fact that one of my favorite types of poison is a very Scarecrow from DC approach to things, mostly insanity poisons. Most of what I did was one shots for a while, so I didn't want, since most of it was also trying to introduce people to Palladium, I didn't want to kill off their character the first time they played it. So insanity poisons became my thing. One person actually failed their roll so badly, both their insanity check and their poison check, that they actually gained a permanent insanity from it. But I like using the poison trope not under too much thing. Like, oh, you just found poison. Oh, you just found poison. No. There's only one or two traps that actually have poison in the whole thing. Most of them are meant to be insta-kill or slow you down. I might do a little bit differently now, but that was back then. So I always made sure that the poison was a good time within a dungeon. So it's fun for the players, but hopefully not overwhelming on the same hand, because it's not like they're just going to go running straight into another trap and instantly get their head cut off type thing.
Gotcha. How about you,
Answer the
Connell?
question?
Yeah, nice.
How do I wait? Read the question again.
What are some common types of poisons and potions in RPGs, and how can game masters, and players use these items to create dynamic and engaging gameplay experiences?
Well, when it comes, let's do the potion part. I'll answer the potion part because the poison is a whole different ball wax. Potions, when I'm running a game that's not 5e, if I'm going back to Pathfinder, which I prefer to play in the Pathfinder world, I think I got this from Jade. When it comes from a potion that you buy from, let's say, a cleric, a healing potion, there's no rolling. It does max. It does max. Wherever it is, it just does max of it because you got it from a cleric. You didn't. Your buddy down the road didn't make it. You didn't get this from Downtown Willie. You went to an actual church, temple, mass, whatever, and you bought it off them. And in theory, they should know how to make these. So I think I got this idea from Jade, and I always enjoyed it because it just simplified it. We didn't have to wait for somebody to, I only need to roll X, and yeah, it just keeps the game moving. Okay. So that's how I do my health potions. Most of the potions more or less the same way. Unless the player makes it, then you roll. Because just because you can make a potion does not mean you're proficient enough in it the same way cleric from a church. So that's all he does all day is make potions. All day, You can make bread, or I can go to the baker. I'm going to the baker because 10-1, he knows what the hell he's doing. That's always been my point of view when it comes to that stuff. And I don't like putting potions in treasures. I think it's asinine. Potions should be in a cupboard. They should be in a box. They should be put up. Just not looming there on a great big fucking pile of copper. That's dumb. That's just really fucking dumb. Yes, Kai?
You don't trust ibuprofen that's been stored in heat or unknown conditions for up to 3 to 4 centuries?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I just suffer in silence. As for poisons, my poisons are fairly common to the world. I don't, What the poisons are is a different question, but you could find your poisons at your local tavern because they serve poison all day.
It's called domestic.
I'm just saying, sometimes there's imports.
Yeah, pilsners.
That's just diabetic piss.
Pilsners aren't bad. It's the IPAs you got to look out for.
That's being raped in the mouth by a pine cone. So I treat poisons as you just can't get them everywhere. You actually have to know somebody. You have to be part of some kind of guild. It's just, oh, I'm a rogue. I'm going to go buy some poisons. All right, where? Well, at Walmart. No, they don't sell. Yes, they do, but it's not the poison you're looking for. So that's how I handle poisons and potions in my world. It's not. I do potions a little bit more generous than I probably should, and poisons, you can't go to your local whatever and it's like, well, I'll take two vials of purple worm poison and 3 vials of black lotus and whatever. You actually have to know somebody or be part of something to be able to get a hold of them. Does that work for you?
Absolutely. Baron, how about you?
So with this, the big thing is that the potions are not available to everybody. Just because typically in the worlds that I run, the raw materials are not that easy to come by. You have people who are dedicated to go out and collect those items for those healing droughts and whatnot for the church. You have those folks out there who are out there, collecting the nightshade or the purple worm poison in order to bring back that so it can be curated into the poisons. It's not something that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to know where to get it from. You're going to have a rogue who is in the guild who knows a guy. It's like, I know a guy. I got a guy. Got a guy for that. And he goes and makes contact, sees what he can do with it. It's not going to be something that's going to be in great supply. These are going to be things that are going to be used. This isn't going to be something that you drench your blade in every single fight that you walk up to and stab an orc in the heart and use that poison on your dagger every time because that it only has a shelf life of maybe an hour or two, and it's not going to work after that because it's going to get all kind of gunky. There might be some residuals, but really it's not going to really have that big of a impact. So, and along with that, I kind of follow that same thing that Jade has done, is especially like with healing pots. If you go to the church, the clinic, whatever you want to call it, that the healing gods or the healers guild or whatever have, and they hand you this, here, drink this. Okay, you get you get max points back. Congratulations. And it's going to be what it is. So the overall, in order to get those dynamic and engaging gameplay experiences with that, one good way you could do that is maybe instead of being able to purchase those healing pots that they need before they go into the next big part of their adventure, they have like one. Well, you got more than one person in your party. Probably want to go out there and see what you can do. Y'all get out there and see what you can do to rust some up. So they may send you out there to go find some, and be able to get some of those nice herbs in order to help with make it, or maybe they play escort to the guy who knows where what he's looking for to get it. You can use those type of things, and those are nice little side quests, because then you come back with a lot more than what they expected. All of a sudden now that potion dealer is now indebted to you for helping not only restock but overstock, so you might get some stuff at a discount. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do to make it part of the story.
I like it. For me, one of the most common potions I like to hand out when I do hand them out, and mind you, that's not like a common thing. I don't have like a lot of magic item shops, was the heroism and superheroism potion. Back in the day, if a fighter were to drink one of those, he gains a couple of temporary fighter levels and the accompanying hit points. So that instead of me having to hand out lots of healing potions while they're in a dungeon or an adventure, which I find to be kind of a little too video gamey, this way, imagine spinach and Popeye. You down the potion, you buff up, you beef up for a couple of turns, which is a crap ton of melee rounds, and then the hit points that they lose were the temporary ones that they just gained. That way I don't feel like I have to constantly put potions of healing in their path so that they can keep on actually playing, versus well, we're in the third room of the dungeon and we're completely out of heal spells and any sort of healing capabilities. It's time to go back to town. I really kind of hate that, and this way they can just drink them, go in, and when the battle's over, there's a good chance they never actually took any real damage, and you can figure out the math from there. It just worked, and for me that makes the game a little bit more realistic, as in there's not healing after every freaking combat, and it just that also, to me, I can't recall a single novel where there was more than one or two actual instances of any sort of magical healing whatsoever. The heroes just took their licks, and by the time the story was over, the adventure was over, they're running on the last couple of hit points, but no worries, because that part of the story is over. So I'm going to roll on into question number 2, because we spent almost an hour on the first one. How can game masters, and I'm actually going to start with you, Kai. Sorry, I should have said that first. How can game masters and players use poisons and potions to create moments of tension and suspense in combat encounters? And what are some strategies for balancing the power and impact of these items in a way that feels fair and engaging for all participants? Wow. That's a long one.
Honestly, because of the price and rarity that because unfortunately we tend to play games that poisons are really mostly a joke. The more I'm playing with basic bitch gaming, the more I realize that most poisons are actually an inconvenience at best. So the balance is inherently that the out of the book affordable poisons are barely worth even acknowledging they exist. I mean, it's like, oh no, you stubbed my toe. I'm inconvenienced for 2 hours. And it's not real. It really doesn't. The balance and fairness, I guess because of the fact that we've taken that most of the more modern poisons that you see in gaming tends not to be what I would call scary or even life-threatening. Because it's like, oh no, I make a poison check every 10 to 15 minutes. And the rules are so pathetic these days to make poisons either, and the expensive ones, the good ones, you get one dose for several hundred or a couple thousand gold pieces, are so prohibitively. So I can either buy a major gear upgrade, buy a house, buy a fortress, or I can have a major, or I can buy a major poison that if the GM rolls a 9 or higher, will ignore it.
Yep.
So which do I bother to do? So the inherent, I guess because of the fact that they are by rules almost a joke, almost worthless. You need to go back to older editions to find one that's not really a joke, not really. I know first was great. First and second are amazing for poisons alone. There's a reason why
you are preaching to the choir, my friend.
I understand this because there's a reason why I have AD&D second. Type E poison is the poison that we used for everything, and why we had sleep poisons that actually make you go to sleep, and some of the poisons make you go to sleep forever, or you fall over convulsing because you just took 20 to 40 more points of damage because, oh God, I didn't die, but my body is feeling horrifying. There's a reason why I have rules for various and more advanced, more nastier, horrifying poisons, because I want poisons to be scary. Now, the moment that you make poisons actually intimidating, like they can actually kill you, not just make you feel sick for an hour. Oh, the next 2 days I have an upset tummy. My con score went down. Oh, I've got an earache. Your dex went down. I feel a little weak. Yeah, strength loss. Man, my head's a little foggy because I got poisoned. My intelligence and wisdom, and I'm slurring my speech because I drank too much alcohol. Charisma damage, and charisma, intelligence, wisdom damage, and that's all you really get to see anymore. Well, in the event that you somehow failed 19 saves in a row, you might die from it because your stat went to 0. And that's kind of bullshitty. It's kind of lame. And that's really what most of the poisons were. But we lost like the poisons that freeze you up, that turn you to stone, that make you die. But if you bring those back and players start suddenly having to go, oh shit, poison, suddenly that poison dagger in the room becomes a whole lot more interesting. That evil villain who's about ready to unleash a horrifying poison that will kill most everybody in the city block becomes an actual point of fear rather than everyone's gonna feel sick for if we don't clear the area in 20 minutes, somebody might die. But we don't worry, we have like 30 minutes to give out the antidote or bring everybody out of the poison cloud and make everyone hope they can pass a fort save. Oh man. But it really just means if you want to make them interesting, you got to bring the lethality back to it. And sometimes that means your evil villain's a poison master, or the guy who's working for the evil villain's a poison master, which then brings you the ability to bring a whole lot more like chain of events if your players like forensics. Now, if your players like procedurals and forensics, you can have a whole lot of fun then, but you got to have players who are actually able to put 2 and 2 together and get 4. Rather than 2 and 2 and get puppy dog, and yeah, so it really just comes down to if you want poisons to actually matter, you gotta make them scary, and most of the time poisons aren't.
Yeah, I'm gonna address this thing that Mages just put up for ingestive poisons. If you drink or eat them, the minimum starts out at, if you save, you still take 10. If you fail, 20, all the way up to, if you save, you take 30. You fail, death.
Die. Yeah.
And then stabby potions, if you save, you take nothing, all the way down. Versus if no save, it's 15 to 35 to death. Now in AD&D, 35, 40 hit points, that can kill a 10th level fighter, believe it or not. Not,
I know.
not a great 10th level fighter, but a 10th level fighter.
Or you can cripple them so badly from
Yeah,
one
they're-
dose.
Because if you think about it, if a fighter suddenly realized he lost half his hit points, he should be thinking about retreating, not pressing the attack, unless it's a do or die kind of situation.
Right. Now imagine the modern day poison, which does like a D6 con damage. That's the scary thing. Ooh, the scary one. A D6 con. A D8
Yeah, that's weak.
con
As,
damage.
that's weak. That's
And if you don't go to your cleric to cast remove poison in it after a minute or two, you have to roll another fort save and take the damage again a second time. Ooh, if he rolls maximum, if you wander around for a whole minute and don't do anything, you might, if he rolls maximum, fall over hurt. But that's not that. But let's be honest, most of our dice don't roll that high or that hot. Let's be honest, most of our dice roll average at best, below average if we're GMs. So at most, we're inflicting an upset tummy on most players. And most players are like, oh man, I need some Tums. I'm sick. Oh, I might be sick for a week. Someone cast restoration on me. Yeah, I'm better now. Yeah.
So real quick, I want to say hi to a couple of folks in the chat. Welcome, Janet. Welcome, RPG Grandma. Obviously, Mage's Musings. If you guys haven't checked out his channel and Janet's channel and RPG Grandma's channel, what are you guys doing with your life? Eagle Rider, I don't believe I've met you, but nice to meet you.
That's Rosetta. She's a real sweetheart.
Okay, cool. Like I said, nice to meet you. I'm going to go next on over to TCG. I'm going to read the same question out for you. How can game masters and players use poisons and potions to create moments of tension and suspense in combat encounters? And what are some strategies for balancing the power and impact of these items in a way that feels fair and engaging for all participants?
When it came to poison, my players never really used poison, so I have no real experience about that. I would like to think it could use it in a dynamic. My players would think of ways of using it good, but I don't know. I never had that experience. As for for me, I always used poisons in traps. I never really thought about using them on knives or as a weapon other than for traps. So how I would do that in this particular instance wouldn't necessarily be the insanities. It would be probably along the lines of paralyzing, and I definitely use fatal poisons, but I'm not entirely sure what poisons palladiums have. I just used one. I may have basically my home brew of a poison for the longest time.
I can't recall too many of the palladium poisons, to be honest.
So
What about potions then?
potions? Well, potions also weren't too common, but when I did use them, I made sure my players had to use two actions: one to fetch the potion, one to drink the potion. And I did it once towards the end of playing, so I don't know if I would have used it more than that, but where during that time someone had a strike of opportunity on you because you're just standing there drinking a potion.
Okay.
Players didn't complain about it, at least.
I mean, it does make sense. A lot of people would probably be weary of ever using them again without having someone, take their spot. Hey, block for a minute. I need to take a potion, kind of thing. Because you're absolutely right. Just pulling out because I always assume or imagine potions being like your typical stereotypical test tube with a cork. You just thumb off and glug real quick in one swig. So yeah, Kai, you wanted to add?
Because of that exact problem, because of the old rules of I gotta spend time actually doing that thing. My players have come up with so many dumb, creative ways and engineering disasters that will that solved that problem. A lot of my players ended up looking like Rift juicers, having healing potions on like injectors that they were just like, I'm hurt, inject, like mainline. You know, they have like mainline IV drips.
You didn't have any of the hats with the potion bottles in them, you know, like
Oh no, some people did that early on. People did that. One guy created a still suit that it was like the Dune still suit that it was filled with healing potions. So that way, when he got hit, it would just break open a vial and just spill the healing juice all over his body. And I'm like, oh god, you stink, and because you're wearing oh my god, you're really weird because you're wearing a still suit made out of literal healing potions. Like, yes, hit me, I heal when you hit me. I'm like only for a while. He goes, I don't care. It's a while. It's hilarious. I go, you're retarded. But no, when you have like injectors, like IV drip injectors, I'm just like shooting at. They're shooting themselves up with combat. You know, I have combat buffing potions and healing potions. Like they're just like, why do this whole pull out a vial thing? No, that's for when you're downtime. No, I want like ready active. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Moments.
Yeah, it was kind of unusual to think that you could get away with it, and or that if you know any monster or opponent worth its salt saw you digging for a potion, he wasn't going to press the attack, take full advantage of that situation, and instead of hit you, smack the potion out of your hand or something like that. It seemed a little far fetched, and probably why we never actually read about it in any of the classic novels or even the comic books. It's a purely gamey kind of situation. I think but we did it for decades, did we not?
Yep.
So
Still
hold on a second. Give me just a second. My page. I'm going to go on to Connell with this one. Connell, you following along, or do you need me to read for you?
I need you to read for me.
Okay, I want to tell you a little bedtime story about a man named Shh. How can game masters and players use poisons and potions to create moments of tension and suspense, in combat encounters? And what are some strategies for balancing the power and impact of these items in a way that feels fair and engaging for all participants?
I want to take you back to the 90s when angel dust was a thing, or PCP, where these guys would take
Same
this
thing.
magical poisons, because drugs are poison, and they were superheroes for a while. So you are running a campaign, and the big bad, I don't know, not even the big bad, one of his generals or lieutenants is like, I think I'm going to produce this drug, this poison, and give it out to a small town to see how it works. Well, now the whole town is, tanked because of said drug. So now your heroes have to go figure out, okay, where did these drugs come from, or this poison, and what effects does this poison have on the now brain dead NPCs that they're having to deal with. So I know that's a little bit dark, but I think that would be an interesting way.
No darker than a certain alphabet agency has done in the past. So
there's multiple different ways to use poisons. I was in a campaign years ago where the DM let me play a cigar merchant that I had special cigars that had sleep poison in between the roll. So if you smoked it, you would have to make a con save and a fort save, or you'd pass out. Using poisons in unique ways is not hard. I don't think it's hard. You just have to think a little bit outside the proverbial bottle. And if you can do that, you can introduce a series of horrible events that your players have to deal with because of it. I know I joke around about Cocaine Bear a lot, but that's another example of what this poison does to the wildlife. How would it affect the community?
Cocaine Bear is nothing compared to Tortilla Shark.
I'll take your word on it. I mean, so I will use poisons in unique ways, and to my opinion, unique and devilish points of views that will make the players really, really hate me and having to clean up, this mess. But if I'm going to do it, that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm not, ooh, the rogue, the evil rogue has his dagger that is, has green stuff dipping on it. What are you going to do? Well, I'm just going to shoot him. What do you mean you're going to shoot him? Well, I'm not going to let that son of a bitch anywhere near me. I'm going to shoot him with my bow or my crossbow or fireball or magic missile or disintegrate. 100 different ways not to get in range with the dagger with the green drippy stuff off of it. And for potions, does this also cover potions?
It certainly does. They all do.
Potions are just kind of potions. Once again, I think you have to go to clerics, but there's other potions in healing. There are Bear's Endurance, Owl's Wisdom, or whatever. You can find those. Maybe they're not so much at a magic mart, but maybe you have a witch in the village that makes, or a druid that lives outside of town that makes this. That I'm going to pull a page off of Mac's Legion of Mist book where you actually have to go talk to this guy, and he's going to give you a list of things to make said potion. So your bard can be a little bit more a silver-tongued bastard, or so forth and so on. It's just not going to be, welcome to Magic Mark. My name is Ash. How can I help you? No, you have to work for it.
Well, believe it or not, in AD&D, a 7th level magic user could actually make almost every potion in the book. Just not without getting the ingredients, of course, but
how much time did you have? I imagine I'm still piling through my second edition library that I was able to snag for a good price. But how long did it take you to get from level 1 to level 7, and how much resources did you have to burn?
That's an impossible question to ask. The first part, the resources, you would definitely not be required to spend probably more than half the gold that it would cost to make said potion. Otherwise, what would be the freaking point? And everybody knows that if you sell a potion, you're going to get half the listed value, which means you should probably be trying to negotiate with the GM that it should only cost you about a quarter of that, provided you have the ingredients. Now that's the tricky part, because there was a nice list of the ingredients in the Dungeon Master's Guide of potential required ingredients to make said potion.
Baron, you look fairly excited. You okay over there?
No, I'm fine.
All right.
I had a cramp in my leg. I had to move. Ugh.
Eat more bananas. Potassium, boys and girls. The word is potassium of the day. That keeps cramps away. Well, sometimes.
I find out that dill pickles, like the kosher dills, are best for me.
But yeah,
make sure you eat your daily pickle Rick or pickle Vic if you wish. And
we can do. But yeah, I try to keep things interesting. I when it comes to potions and poisons, because we have been overly waterboard. No, overly. I don't know what the term I want to use is. It's just you pick up a book.
Focusing on the poisons.
Yeah, and potions. Well, all I have to do is go here. All I have to do is go there. No, let's make this a little bit more interesting. As a paid DM, I want to make them feel like their money is being worth giving it to the shop.
Kai, you wanted to say something?
No,
Kai.
Yeah. I'll hold on.
Okay, because you had your hand up. I don't want you to have to wait forever. I'm going to go next to Baron.
Kai's going to chew my head off. I can see it now.
That's if you have a head left by the end of this stream.
Last time I invite him to go see a movie. No.
So when you have things in combat, one of my favorite things, and it's actually I would say it is kind of an alchemical, would be which would kind of fall under the potions and things like that, is like a tanglefoot bat, because you throw it and it just goes everywhere. It makes things sticky. The thing is that looking at the whole potion making, it does encompass the alchemical things too. So when you're looking at ways of tension and suspense, there's a whole thing of I'm reminded of a game that I believe Bruce ran, and it was seeking cloud is a privilege, not a right. And so therefore, it's throwing those things out there when, and from the GM side, when the players are least able to grasp what is going to happen. Because the beautiful thing is I'm going to use 3-3-5 right now, is that yes, you can cut up a guy pretty good. He's going to have, as long as he's not healed, you could theoretically throw a potion in or a vial of poison at him and not have to hit him. You can hit his square where it will splash, and he will get the effect of the poison. So therefore, you don't have to necessarily don't necessarily have to make a big show of it. This could be a thing that, they throw a potion, it makes this great big fog, and the bad guy gets away. It doesn't necessarily have to be, I'm using this to eliminate you from the face of this earth, because most bad guys are very narcissistic, and they're thinking, I can't be beat. So I don't need to beat you or whatever. I just need to make you look like a fool. I can make you look like a fool with me getting away. So therefore, if you're looking at a lot of these different types of things with the potions, look at the alchemical side. With the actual poisons themselves, you've got several different ways of doing it. Darts are huge, and darts can really be used with the whole thought process of you've got your goblins, first level goblins, boom, they hit you with a poison dart. It's not gonna hurt you. It may make you feel drowsy. It might make you the wizard not be able to maybe lift his arm. But I can't lift my arm. Wizard can't cast. Now comes a whole different thing. Something a poison could theoretically also be like a muscle relaxant. That was one of my favorite things to do, is a muscle relaxant on a dart. You realize that if you hit a fighter with a muscle relaxant,
There was a joke in there, folks.
they can't get their arm up or anything else up afterwards. And but if you think about it, unable to, just with a muscle, like the muscle relaxant, being able, you can't necessarily get that arm up to swing that sword or use that dagger, or you could use it definitely to incapacitate a spellcaster. So I mean, those are other ways that you can think of, instead of using your normal poisons. Look at things that will do
Hinder?
things to incapacitate and hinder. Exactly.
Bruce, would you like me to read the question for you?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the bunny trail Garrett and then Kai went on and on that. I'm like, shit.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Bruce, how can game masters and players use poisons and potions to create moments of tension and suspense in combat encounters, and what are some strategies for balancing the power and impact of these items in a way that feels fair and engaging for all participants?
I wouldn't really introduce poisons and such until after like third, fourth level in a game, because for the most part, whenever I'm running a game from super low levels, I'm trying to get the character that's behind the character. I'm trying to get the player to actually understand that this is not your 17th level character you had. The world does not awe and quake and thunder with every step you make. Now you're just a regular guy. You're barely more competent than the average working stiff in the majority of things you specialize with. And if you try something out of your specialty, you're probably going to be no better than the average working stiff. So please step smartly. And for the first level or two, that's all I really want to do. To keep things on a, I hate saying the word fair. I really do.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
But to keep things,
Life is intrinsically unfair.
yeah, to keep things on this basis to where, you know, you're drip feeding things into your game in the early levels. I would pop a goblin hunt on the players around fourth level, and you know, players most time whenever they're like fourth level, give them a goblin hunt. They're like, wait, what? We're hunting a goblin? We should have done shit at first level. What do you mean we got to hunt a goblin now? Unless somebody's watched like some really good Jap anime called Goblin Slayer, they have no idea what they're in for. You know, they really don't. And I would use every bit of treachery and cunning to be expected out of a 12 intelligence creature with a 14 wisdom. I would pair those two together and let the goblin just completely screw the players over. Just let him play cat and mouse with the players and see how well they do with a foe that's very resourceful, with a character that does not want to get caught or injured or discovered. And so he would be doing a lot of strikes from the shadows. He would be trying everything he could to set up positions of advantage first, and then he'd launch a couple darts tipped with a muscle relaxer or sleep dart if he thinks that the wizard will fail a save. He'd do things like that, but he wouldn't be trying to go for the kill right away. He'd want to wear the party down, maybe hire his buddy, the kobold, set some traps for him, and they would pretty much run the party ragged through a dungeon and just try to be one step ahead, because goblins, even when they're small, they're very quick at 30-foot base movement. You do that sort of thing to a party and you let them really just kind of screw the party over. I know that sounds bad. I don't want to deliberately hurt the party, but you give him the opportunity. Like the first 2 hours, he's throwing muscle relaxers to the party, so you take a D2 strength damage. You catch six of those, you're going to minimum 6 strength is going to go away if you fail your save. And the roll for the save for a lot of people, I mean, not everybody plays a fighter, so not everybody has a plus 20% and plus 50% based off your ability score rolls just to roll better on poison. A lot of people want high constitution. They can't have high constitution because their character's not set up that way. They put all their abilities into intelligence or dexterity. So for the first 2 hours, you'd have a goblin go around and just work on debilitating the players to where he would have a fairer fight. He would get rid of 2 of the characters' ability to have a dexterity modifier for the first 2 hours. Have another poison dart. Have another poison dart dipped in centipede blood. Have another poison dart dipped in this blood or that blood. And he'd be doing darts for the first 2 hours. And then he'd run off, you know, and party tries to go after him and they discover he left a rake on the floor. Ow! That sort of thing. And he'd be very resourceful. So you just give them the opportunity to possibly evade the traps he leaves, but if you're following him, he's going to mine the area for traps that he leaves in his wake. And I think that would be not a fun adventure, but that would be an adventure to where you make your party really struggle to get success, which is get rid of this goblin. And of course, if he does manage to break the party up, and one party member happens to fall asleep because they lost all their dexterity points or they lost all their strength and they fall down and they faint, well, maybe the party will come across their raped corpse later. I mean, if you already split the party up, you might have a situation where he does get his way with a character. And goblins in my world are like the goblins in Goblin Slayer. They are very horny, and there are plenty of half goblins born to many wards around affected areas in the overworld later on, like 6 or 8 months, where you have half goblin kin that might show up at an orphanage or some such. I wouldn't recommend you do that all the time, but I would want to have players in other campaigns experience fear, hatred, and loathing towards the goblinoids that I feel, because I think that they are a really good race to actually do that with. If you have a goblin poisoner alchemist that's just running around like a flipped out ninja and he's dosing on extracts to maintain his movement and dexterity up, even though the players are trying to be hot on his tail, you have a very good chance to where he will easily dominate the party if he is allowed to get one thing off. I'm just saying that might be something that you have happen. I don't know what your particular game would have, Shadow, and that's
I was going to go into that real quick because I do want to keep this moving along.
Okay.
I like the old adage, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Players drinking potions all the dang time. Well, what happens when they meet a group of orcs or goblins or whatever, and they all pull out a potion and slug that before combat? Just think of the aforementioned potion of heroism. Suddenly now you've got 8 goblins all spinached out and ready to go in and maybe even exceed the player character's levels, or giant strength, or fire resistance, or some other potion that, the players would be like, oh, crap, now we're not going to, not only do we got to fight these critters, but we're not getting that as treasure. Kai, you've had your hand up and down for a bit. Would you like to add to this particular segment?
All right. There's this wonderful little thing that if you play like Ultimate Campaign / Kingmaker, and it has various third-party supplements that increase it, there's a trait that goes into that allows you to equip military units with potions. The idea that your people have combat potions, either healing or offensive or poisons, and it costs resources. And you start to contemplate the idea of what goes into maintaining the ability for a large formation, because you mentioned the idea of an entire orc tribe, popping potions. At that point, you have to start going, okay, where are they getting all of these potions of heroism from? Because you can't just have everyone just magically appear with them all. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're now looking at the idea of a location and you're not just simply going, I have one guy who goes out in the woods and picks some berries and some twigs, and then milks a spider, and now I got all the parts for my poison / potions that I now give to everybody. No, you're now having the idea of there's an actual supply chain that's now being developed to mass produce 10 to 15 potions, especially looking at each potion taking a day, several days to manufacture for a certain price. And there are rules out there to do this, but now you're looking at the idea of that there are hidden locations now where somebody has actually invested all the time, money, and energies to create what is in essence a cottage poison / potion manufacturing center to create these alchemical so as you're adventuring, orcs are all stupid and goblins are all stupid, they're all savages, until you realize that there's this vast actual hidden farmland of shamans who are sitting here busily working up these potions and manufacturing them in job lots and then shipping them by crate almost. So that way you can equip your orcish assault teams, because honestly, they can't all just have them for, in the event of player characters break glass, take out potion, drink it. No, this is now their standard. You're going to assume that the encounter you're encountering in a world that's actually persistent is now, this is a standard procedure for them. Because, I'm sorry, player characters don't have a big giant sign over their head saying player character. No, as far as the monsters are concerned, they're just, the players are another random encounter. And if they're random, and if their standard, if their SOP is pop potion of heroism, charge into combat, that means these potions are now in general production, general assignment, that if everybody pops one and everyone's got a healing potion, everyone's got a buff potion, everyone's got certain things on them, then that is now standard equipment and everyone's got it in their TOE. You're going to go out there and somebody is manufacturing it, and now you have a major plot point, because now you have to figure out, and you also got to calculate how many people have this, how fast are they manufactured, what is their engagement rate, what is their rate of expenditure of these potions, how much is being manufactured by, what's the tooth-tail ratio you're developing here? So how many orcs are now in the supply chain producing the potions and the potions and poisons and alchemical devices that you're now equipping your frontline encounters? Because obviously this encounter might not be, it's a part of a much vaster tribe. Is every tribe got this buff? Are they all equipped with this thing? Sorry, I'm used to playing in guilds and in MMOs where this was the kind of process that we all went into. So at this point, you might have, just for the alchemical side, you might have gatherers, farmers, herdsmen who are creating your animals that are your animals. You have secure locations of guards. Now you're looking at like 5-6 people for every manufacturing for days on end to manufacture 1-2 potions. They got to do this weeks on end, so that way you can give your 10-man orc squad their potions of heroism, so they can go into combat buffed up. So now you got now you're thinking about, they're out there raiding for slaves to do what? Pick fields? Do you trust slaves to pick your fields of your vital strategic resource that's allowing you the buff to be able to conquer the humans? No, you're going to put trusted individuals into this. You don't want to trust slaves who are going to backstab you, dirty freaking humans. Ugh, God, I don't want humans disrupting my production schedules. No, I want trusted individuals of my tribe producing my critical resources. I have humans that do all of my menial labor. Critical strategic resources, unfortunately, are what I'm doing here. And yes, if you have an orc or two out there with a 13 or 14 intelligence, they are thinking this way. If your goblins are thinking with a 12 or a 13 intelligence, they might be thinking this way. And they're not just simply going, rape them, kill them, put idiots in. I trust my elves, my elven captives to manufacture my super. No, especially if you have entire squads who are popping potions and buffing before combat. You are now welcome. I welcome to the idea that there probably is somewhere like the hive from Resident Evil of evil manufacturing, condensed and fortified and secured, and someday your players are going to raid a location built exclusively to do this one thing, and that is to equip armies with potions.
Entirely possible.
Sorry, I put way more thought into this than the usual. I give random treasure to my encounters. Encounters are now awesome. No, there's logic on why everything happens. So
sure. And I was being pretty generic and just to give a rough idea of
Oh,
you know,
if I was a player and you did that to me, you better believe my brain would have gone to that level of detail. And now I'm on a a hunter-killer task force idea of now our job is to destroy that facility and probably not kill them, but kill all their overlords and then hire all of their potion makers. Going, hi, orc potion makers. You are now going. I will now pay you better than the orcs are.
you
And
know,
now
I thought about that, but my general idea would be that different creatures with different physiologies doesn't mean that a potion works for one species works for another. You know what I mean?
We could easily retool the entire manufacturer. Plus, if I have a healing potion, if my healing potion works on work, that's how you. Trust me, we have trial and error testing, and if we have to, we'll retool the entire facility. And they have the skills. They just got to retool the facility to handle all the humanoids, and they're humanoids too, because half orcs and orcs use the same buffs and potions that we do. So it should work. And if not, well, we'll retraining and reallocation of resources. And if I have to clear out their tools, will still be useful if I put humans down there and working in the pits.
Two things really quick, Shadow, before we move on. A crafty gamer had his hand up. Then after
Okay.
he's done, I want to comment really quick.
All right.
Well,
TCG, what you got?
Kai's rant. Okay, Kai's rant reminded me of something I did in a game that would definitely fall under, well, maybe not, but it does kind of under the potion category. I had murder hobo players, which is quite common for the games I was playing. So to deal with that, 'cause I didn't want to deal with that like how they were doing it, I gave a band of orcs through religious rites cocaine, which is I made it basically the equivalent of a berserk potion.
I mean, he's not wrong. I like this idea.
They didn't just like I made it. I actually thought way into this. They didn't just. They actually ate it and actually did have were fine for snorting. They also used it as part of their war makeup. Like it was a full on religion with the stuff.
Okay, that gives me ideas for two different things, but that's all right. I'll work those thoughts out later.
Yeah, it's
but
just
I really wanted to say,
Damn
was,
it.
I wanted to throw this out about potions because we slightly talked about it. But what if you're running an evil campaign, or and somebody in your party wants to be a lich? Well, the good guys who are facing your bad guys, back in the day were able to throw healing potions at the undead, vampires, lich, and all the other undead, and do damage to them.
Sure.
This has been removed from the game, which is dumb in my opinion.
Yeah, that is. I mean, well, to me, it's kind of dumb on both counts because if you're, you know, if the only recourse you have is to throw your healing potions at the bad guys, you might want to get the hell out of there because you're not necessarily supposed to win every encounter. Running away is actually usually kind of a really smart idea. You know, you're not.
No, and I get what you're
destined
saying,
to
run
defeat
away,
everything
but
you come across.
it's a quick decision making. Okay, what
Exactly.
would happen if we throw a health potion at the lich? I'm melting. What the fuck? As you're running away.
Yeah, that's like May just said. That's what the holy water's for, and or you're only going to do a limited amount of damage. You know, I would guess
I thought it was an
roughly what it
interesting-
heals. Maybe even if you got double what it heals. For against the lich, you're still looking at needing, to do 60 some odd more points of damage, and if you're not equipped, you have to also count for misses and things like that. You might want to rethink that whole strategy of taking on the lich the first time you bump into a lich. So I'm going to go into question number 3. TCG, I'm going to start with you because that's how I'm
rolling.
Going clockwise formation. Hopefully we can make it through this one with everybody getting a chance. And if Aaron would like, we can come back next week with the last 2 questions, or maybe we can post them in Discord for folks to see. But TCG, what are some tips for designing unique and interesting poisons and potions, and how can game masters and players use these items to create a more immersive and flavorful game world?
Never be afraid to use something that you think is crazy. Now, I don't mean comical. I mean like, here's a good example. Something that paralyzes specifically the left foot. I don't know why you would do that, but don't be afraid to do something outrageous like that. Because if you're, especially, in this case, especially if you're looking just to not to kill a person, but immobilize them, paralyzing their feet is a good way to stop them. I know that's very specific, but there are some poisons that target specific things. Like there is a,
You're absolutely correct.
Creature it is. I forgot what spider it is, but there's a spider that when you get bit, it doesn't paralyze your entire body; it just paralyzes your limbs.
And Flady says, remember, most of your aquatic creatures' poison should be nearly fatal every time. Yeah.
Oh yes. Aquatic poisons are scary poisons. So just never be afraid to use the extreme or strange. Like I said, just try not to make it comical though. Like I haven't had to deal with that because not too many players. I actually have no players that ever played with poison. But I could see how if you're allowing that, it could quickly become comical if you're not careful.
Okay. Connell, how about you, man?
Make your health potions addictive. And after a while, they no longer heal you, but do damage instead.
Yeah, that to me sounds counterproductive to having a normal run-of-the-mill kind of game. Maybe, if the potions are coming from a particular source, I could see that as being a thing. But, for general purposes, otherwise, the players are going to be like, well, time to retire.
But didn't you say earlier that one should not rely on health potions, alone? They should be able to figure things out.
Sure, but what about the party? What about the party that just doesn't want to have a cleric or a dedicated?
That's not my problem as a DM. That's their choices. They're all, choices were made. They made a bad choice.
Well,
so now
while I agree with most of what you just said, I'm not going to tell people what to play when it comes to the characters. If they, decide they do not want, one of the 4 food groups for whatever reason, I'm not going to, penalize them and make them feel like they always have to have one. But at the same time, they are going to try to, keep going through the game. And healing potions doing what they say is kind of one of those rules I don't want to break, just because that doesn't leave them any other option other than to bring in. Now you got to bring in a cleric, or a healer of some sort, because every once in a while it might be nice to have one of those weird, not necessarily weird, but like a 3 Musketeers kind of party where there's no magic users, there's no clerics, it's just a bunch of fighters, out on the town, doing fighting stuff. And
I get what you're saying, but it's like water. You're supposed to drink X amount of glasses of water per day. Well, if you drink too much water, you can make yourself sick. And water is a source of life, right?
I have not gotten there yet, but I know what you mean.
So you got a party that wants to be, whatever, and no one wants to be the hill bud. I'm not going to punish them by making the health potions addictive. I'm just saying, meth was a medical, a drug that the doctors, so was cocaine and a bunch of other stuff.
Yep.
Throughout the years, I thought, gave healing abilities. So maybe you should go El Natural next time you're thinking about, I need a health bump up my health, or find a way to even out the potion addiction. Maybe eat some poison to measure it out. I don't know. I haven't got there.
I think it's a bad idea, but
I mean, your games shouldn't be. No game should be cookie cutter games. Kai games should be barons, and so forth and so on. So if I make my game where health potions after a certain degree are addictive, maybe the party needs to figure a different way of maybe running away so that they don't get hit so damn bad. I mean, didn't you just say that running away is always a good option?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You're muted,
But
Barry.
I can see where some people might think that's kind of a, kind of like putting the game into, super hard mode. Baron, you look like you got something to say. Otherwise,
Well,
you're
that
next.
the one thing on Connell's, I could see it being tied into something where they get some kind, either the rations or something like that, had some type of additive to it that maybe comes from their patron, because maybe their patrons are not totally on the up and up.
Mhm.
Who knows? They could be working for the big bad. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the thing is that each game does need. If you're going to do something along those lines, normally I'm not one to holler about balance, but I would state that it would probably not be in the best idea as the GM to implement something that harsh, just for the simple fact of they can still go to ye old local temple, pay a few gold, and they can have a come to God meeting and be hailed and everything else, and then they're all dead. Because at that point you start, at what point does that reset? Because maybe they're not addicted anymore after they're healed. Who knows? But going to mine, if you're going to have unique things within either nature or whatever, there are several different ways to implement that. Yes, the players are not always going to win every battle. They're going to maybe walk into a portal where this blue dragon tells them to drop all their magical shit and get the hell out. And they're going to be dumb enough to attack it. And then Bruce has the half TPK. Things happen. So, that's the thing, is that, there are going to be things that are going to come up. You can implement them into your game. But, and I agree, make them interesting. Don't, if it is you in a group that you've played with for a while and you guys have an inside joke, I see no issue with throwing in something as an inside joke, because everyone at the table is going to get it. That's fine. You can go a little gonzo with that. That's perfectly fine. Some people may not agree with me on that, but that's the thing, is that, sometimes you need to throw that levity in. But your table may vary. So as long as everybody at the table is enjoying your story, enjoying the gameplay, and at the end of the night able to walk out and say, God damn, I can't believe we did that. That's like the big overall arc of what you should be looking at within your game.
Gotcha. Bruce, you there?
I am here.
All right. Would you like me to reread the question, or?
Yeah. Please.
Okay.
Please, sir.
What are some tips for designing unique and interesting poisons and potions, and how can game masters and players use them to create a more immersive and flavorful game world?
I would recommend that while you're, quote unquote, still in your apprentice stages of the game, unless the player is literally angling to be a potion maker, don't let them involve themselves with that. Let the clerics and the alchemists at the temples handle that. Let the guys at the vendors handle that. What I would do at the start of the game is if they're bumping into things that drop ingredients, it would be a smart idea to kind of notate which characters would kind of see that and have a value for that. So say like you kill a start of the game, you manage to get a lucky few shots on an owlbear. And one of the players is like, man, I would love to take this owlbear's corpse back and give it to my mentor. Because I know what?
Fluffy.
Yeah. And so you haul this 800-pound corpse back on a wagon. The horse is going nuts the entire time, not really liking the fact that you've got a mostly dead owlbear hanging off the boards. And the wizard tells you a few things. Maybe around level 3, you start seeing a value for owlbear feathers or essence the owlbear, so you can possibly start knowing what you need to field extract or what you need to field prep in order for you to take it back to Senior Mentor, so he can outfit you for the game next time a little better than what you were today. And then maybe around level 6, that's where, for me, level 6 is where options open up in a game. They should be open all the time, but around level 6, like, you have real options like, do you want to stay this class, or do you want to try to start getting yourself angled into a prestige class and do something more focused and be a magician? Maybe you wish to be more like an invoker, or maybe you wish to be like a summoner type. I don't know. And you start offering that, and then you start offering, whenever you have any sort of foraging or any sort of loot said corpse, you start putting notations in there like, yeah, and along with the full set of adult owlbear teeth that you find, there's also 70 pounds of owlbear meat, which is untainted by the digestive tract, which released at the moment of death. And therefore, you, Tommy, you've got an alchemist, right? First level? Okay. Give me a knowledge arcane roll. Okay, so you rolled a 24. What you get, Tommy, is that for every 5 pounds of this meat you can distill, that's another amount, that's another serving you could use to help make a potion of owlbear health, which will increase your constitution by 4 for a limited time. It'll also drop your wisdom by 2 if you want it. And you let people have those sort of things. I mean, you give them the potion recipe, and around, the middle levels is where the players start being able to focus their talents to where they can actually do things on a reliable die roll. I would prefer to do that. And I would allow them to start kind of experimenting with stuff by initially first giving them like the list of items from felled creature. Maybe you get a troll's severed arm, and then you burn it at the shoulder so it doesn't regrow a whole new troll on you. But you take that severed arm back to the wizard, and maybe he tells you exactly what you use this troll for, or the remainder of the troll for. That sort of thing. And I would like, as time goes on, you start giving out like detailed taxidermy lists from the said corpses. And the game turns into almost like a monster hunter when you're doing that, because now you can tie each and every specific bit of a slain creature or animal into like a specific quest item or spell component. And you can do those sort of things with the game if you so choose. But after a while, it does get a little tedious, and it feels like farming. If you don't mind farming, there's your campaign for 2 or 3 levels, i.e. 10 to 12 adventures, 10 to 12 sessions. And I mean like 6 to 8 hours per session. I think you can reliably do that. And you're doing that not all at the same time, but you can split that up throughout your whole campaign. and that can be quite rewarding for the players because maybe they find something like essence of the Medusa, where you take the head off of Medusa, and after you pluck her eyes out, you can not safely, you can almost reliably extract the poison from the snake heads. But that's if you so choose to do such a thing. And then you can use the poison from the snake heads to either tip your arrows in that, or you can use the eyes of the Medusa and give them to a wizard, and maybe he can make a stone to flesh spell that actually is 200% more effective than the standard flesh to stone spell. So things of that nature. But with the game as it is, what I really appreciate is the ability to actually customize things after you've set some ground rules. You don't do things gonzo at the start. You just drip feed them in slowly but surely. And by around 12th or 15th level of a campaign, the players should have a really good idea of what you allow and what you don't allow.
You know, in the back of my head, Bruce, when you were talking about the merchant vendors, I can just see him coming out with like, this potion will give you haste. All right. What really is it's speed. And the rogue in the background that's normally bouncing off the walls is now sitting down. It's like, hey, guys. Because speed's just really riddling if you have ADD. Kai, you're muted.
Oh yeah, a very good quality of speed too.
Yeah.
Speaking of
I gotta ask, like, whenever you guys are doing your adventures, is there a moment where when you describe an encounter, and I apologize, Shadow, is there a moment where you describe an encounter where like your players start piping up, man, if we survive this, we're gonna have a hell of a loot list, because they start listing off all the ingredients or all the special essences or extracts that they can farm off this one particular encounter? Have you ever done that?
I'm in a campaign where that's allowed, but no, I've never done it as a DM.
Okay.
Oh, yes, because I run very, very heavy crafter and focused games. Yes, they are already planning out. We're going to kill it, skin it, find what I process food. I flesh into food, skin into leather, scales and teeth. Blood will be collected, bones will be harvested. I venom sacs or chemical glands will be used for if it can breathe fire or any kind of a thing. They'll figure out what it is. They will process and render this thing down to there's only some grizzle left over for native life to decompose with, and they will walk off with vast tracts of it. And then they will because they will go into waste nothing mode. So monsters are just things you encounter and destroy and tear apart. They go into extreme amounts of it. They're like figuring out how much meat per day that we're dying. And they'll figure out how much meat per day for the diet we can actually process, figure out how many rations we can perceive from that, how we're going to smoke it. They will stop and I've had my party stop adventuring for after a major wildlife encounter, and then spend 2, 3, 4 days just working on the body like army ants until it's gone. And they will have and they will sending spells off to merchants saying, hey, I've got dragon bone or I've got a basilisk scales in bulk. They're already pre-selling. Working out who they're going to sell all their materials to before they get back to town. And when they get back to town, it's really just delivering resources off to various people. It's an industry. Then I watch the new players who don't know what they're doing come in and go, what the hell are you people doing? I thought all we do is collect a pile of, we got, 2d6 times 10 coins and a gem from under its scales. And At which point the players go, "You have no idea how much money you're just leaving on the ground to rot, my friend."
The moral of the
It's like-
story is don't leave money on the table.
Yeah, and
Well-
because of the fact, it's like, and it's like because like the GM. The GM is a spendthrift and a fucking cock blocker in terms of treasure, so we make our own treasure. Because we only got 30 gold pieces for half of us almost dying. Oh, fuck no. We're going to sell, we're going to walk back to town with several hundred gold in materials. Fuck just leaving that body. Like, if we could fucking find a way to, to flinch the flesh off of humanoids and resell it, we would. Because every dime fucking counts, and everything's expensive, and the GM ain't handing us free money, and if we don't work for it, we don't get it. And the GM threw a counter on us, we're gonna fucking pull teeth and sell shit. And if you have anything valuable in your body, we will fucking sell it, or turn it into a potion, or turn it into a poison, or just sell off flesh. We don't care. And we're efficient at it.
That wasn't a monster. That was a grocery store that just ran by.
See, I'm thinking. I can only think when you describe that of that one campaign that Bruce was telling us about with the on the mountain where the Harask
Harask has been pinned to the wall by 13 artifact javelins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're just cutting meat off that thing forever. Oh yeah,
it's regenerating.
Oh man, if you give us a regenerating monster, oh hell yes. That is just infinite fucking shit. Then
that campaign is called Salt in Wounds. It's
I know.
Get that
And
in
the
for
thing is
Pathfinder.
and the thing is that it's like, oh, you don't even need a Terrask. You just need to find a creature that regenerates, and at that point, you just bleed it dry constantly, and then spin it like, man, infinite water, infinite materials, infinite proteins.
Yeah, but the problem is you really can't live near it because like water will get foul
Take care,
if it's
lady.
close to it. Hey,
the thing
Flady,
is
have a
that-
good evening, my friend.
We don't see the Terrask is too hard to trap. Trolls, on the other hand, are much easier to
I
find.
was just thinking trolls.
Trolls are much easier to find. And you know what? If I go down to the soundproof, scary basement full of terror and terror, pains, and sobbing, because you know what? We need more we need more plasma, so that way we can turn it into water. And you know what? You guys just suffer horribly. Please kill us. No. You're going to kill my entire town. We captured you. Now we have an infinite well. It's made of blood. No, we processed the blood. Don't worry about that. Trust me, we separate out the blood from the water and the plasma. Don't worry about it. You're useful now. Please kill us. No.
I love how you said you're useful now.
Please just give us back our computers. That's all we want is our computers.
The movie that came
No
out.
trolls.
Trolled.
No. You Russians deserve to sit in this basement chained, bleeding for all eternity. For
What's that movie
all
called?
eternity.
People underneath the stairs.
You will get a water and bread diet forever. Just enough so you don't die on me.
Wow. You know the problem.
Don't lose. Just don't lose.
I was in a campaign where this guy had a pet dog, and the dog bit the troll when the troll was dead. Then, like 6 weeks later, a new, freshly born troll came out with a dog.
I love when GMs do that. It's like, oh, if you don't burn the troll, it regenerates from. And at that point, I go, oh my god, you have an infinite source of material to work with, and especially if I'm playing like a Zemitzi light flesh crafter, I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the entire universe, GM. You've given me infinite play toys.
So, could you have a troll's head mounted on a torch and just have it scream as you carry it through a dungeon?
I would love that. That would be amazing. Because the fire only does a D6 damage, and if it heals back constantly.
I mean, I would like to think that eventually the fire would make its way up into the skull and break.
You know what?
Break it
Hey,
down.
remember, if the troll can regenerate from a fingertip, it will burn. It's like I will happily test. Like, man, this is only doing a D3 fire damage. It regenerates more than that.
So is
This'll be
the
fun.
DC character Lobo a troll then? Because he can
Maybe, probably.
come back
No,
from
he's
a drop of blood.
His mutation is just regeneration. That's all he's got, or that's his power. But no,
So okay,
you're right.
don't
you need
set
to
the
find
troll
other
on fire.
versions. Oh no! Wait, we just gotta find a different source of pain and suffering that illuminates. Perhaps
A couple sun rods in its eyes.
Yeah, that's all. It's screaming because periodically we gotta sit there and crank the screws in the eyeballs so that way they keep screaming. I want to intimidate everybody else in the dungeon that look, we're here to retrieve one thing. Don't get in my way. Don't get in our way.
You more or less made a Aztec death whistle.
Yeah.
You could plant the flare spell anally on a troll, and then put him on the front of a chariot or like a juggernaut, and just let him chug through the dungeon wailing. My bad. That's terrible. I'm sorry, kids.
Part of me wants to ask a question: are they D&D trolls, which are big, stupid, and useless, or are they Warcraft trolls, which are actually cool? If they're Warcraft trolls, I don't want to do that to them because they have personality and culture and elegance, and they're kind of cool. And not all of them are Jamaican accent, parodies. But
Hey, what mages? Have a good night, my friend.
so if you give them but they're big, just dumb D&D trolls. Yeah, you torment these fuckers.
So
I have some standards here. Remember, lacking ethical oversight. If you ever ask what I'm doing, remember, lacking ethical oversight.
I think with the comment earlier about the troll that got eaten by the dog, I think for like days leading up to the troll ripping out of the dog, I think that you would probably have like signs that the dog is not feeling well, the dog has not moved, the dog is whimpering in pain. There's a parasite in the dog.
I think the dog's digestive acid should actually counter all of that. To be honest.
acid does not stop trolls. Only fire does.
Actually, acid does per a lot of game rules.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the way he did it was only fire. The only thing it would actually do stop it from
Not to mention,
revamping.
I don't want to go down as the DM that kills players' dogs.
Yeah.
Well,
I would.
I want to say.
I would do it with a German accent.
Duh.
DCG,
I wanna say a little
you want to say
something.
something?
A little something about Kai's rant about a group making industry out of the game.
Yes.
I had two sets of players do that, like different times.
Mhm.
One set of players found out, because I said this before, one set of players found out that gunpowder was invented before fireworks because of the dwarves. And one of the guys got the clever idea, well, I'm going to invent fireworks then. And made an entire industry and empire off of just fireworks alone.
Hey, more power to your players at that point. That's awesome.
And number two, which was relevant to this, a group of players found out that dragon shit could enhance potions. And so they actually seeked out a great horned dragon and basically made a deal for its shit, keeping its cave clean in exchange for shit.
Don't say that. Bruce is in the panel. Fuck. And we know how he feels about shit.
Hey, what you don't realize is that dog that bit that the owner's name was John Wick.
Yeah, sure.
I
It
thought his
was-
name was Johan. I thought he was Johan Vick.
It doesn't matter. And then he chases down the troll that busted out of him like the alien. And yeah.
I know that the DM played Warhammer Fantasy before he dove into Dungeons and Dragons, so the darkness was already there, and he just amplified it when he went into 3.5. So. But the moral of the story is drugs are bad. Don't do poison. unless it comes from people like Sammy Adams Oktoberfest, which is technically a poison. I recommend if you're of age, 21 and up, at least here in America, go get one. It's a really tasty poison.
If you're in
Sam
Europe,
Adams is not a
Beer
is
commercial.
not neither a commercial nor sponsor of the stream. Anything to that effect that needs to come back on the Scar DM. Baron G Rock Enterprises does not console and or dictate anything that Connell says, and therefore there we go. It had to happen once during. It has to happen once during every single thing. So yeah. Hey, look! It fixes blue. He's not blue anymore.
Oh, just give it time.
All right, so I think that we'll go ahead and cut it there. We'll come back and we'll grab those other two next week. So, Bruce, what do you got going on this week?
well, tomorrow night, if you're familiar with my friend and panelist Janet from Another Planet, on Monday nights we do movie reviews on my channel. But on Friday nights, we kind of get in the weeds a bit, and I don't recommend everybody watch, but I think we're entertaining for the cadre we are going for over there, and I'm sure this week will be a lot of fun because of all the stuff that's happened in the last 36 hours. The shit show at Janet from Another Planet's YouTube site, I'll put that link in the chat in just a second. Saturday, running a game and looking for finishing this fire giant so I can add her to the group of fire giants that should beset the players and possibly put them in the dead book. Please don't end up in the dead book, players. Monday night, we're talking about... Hold on just a second. I know there's a movie we're talking about Monday night. Of course. I'm in the wrong browser.
1980s Dune.
Yes. The Dune, 1984, David Cronenberg, but we're watching the Spice Diver edit. So Sunday on my Discord channel, if you want to swing by at 7 p.m., we're having a watch party for that. And then we'll be discussing on Monday night the Dune 1984 Spice Diver edit, which is a little different than the regular Dune movie, which is about an hour or 2 hours and 10 minutes. This here is like 2 hours and 58 minutes. It's ridiculously wonderful. And if you like the Spice Diver edit, if you know what I'm talking about, then just show up there anyway. But if you are not familiar with it, if you want to see the extended version of Dune with some fan edits in there, and I mean pretty high quality edits, I do recommend that. And that's my next 4 days.
What about you, Crafty Gamer? What are you doing this coming weekend?
Well, I'm probably not going to have the video I was planning. My computer did not distinguish between this mic, and my new camera mic, and I don't really like the angle it's at anyway. And I got a bunch of crappy audio. It's got this weird buzzing sound. I think the camera picks up on my fans. So I'm probably not going to have the video I was planning.
All right. What about you, Shadwell and Jack?
Well, tomorrow I'll be in a game tomorrow night with Bo Paints Minis, Owen Mark from Mark's Genre Mixer, and a few other gentlemen. So I'll be pretty much indisposed. I will probably put out my review of the Dragon King's hardback book from Dark Sun tomorrow morning. Saturday, of course, I'll be doing the Sci-Fi Shadow Chat with Jackie at my side, talking about Eldritch Horrors in sci-fi games. Sunday, I will be probably doing a stream one-on-one with Omanal, tying up all my Dark Sun questions in one neat little package before I move on to some other things for the rest of September/October. Next week, it's going to be a lot of spaceships and Ravenloft. A whole lot of Ravenloft reviews for the rest of the foreseeable future, at least until Halloween. Other than that, you just have to wait and see. Check out the channel.
All right. Kai, got anything interesting going on this weekend? Go see a movie, go grab a beer with a couple buddies. Don't know.
Somebody needs to ask me, then I will probably do something. But
All right.
well.
Yeah. All right. Well, tomorrow I will most likely be off camera because I will be playing Warhammer Fantasy with a group of friends in Washington. Saturday, I will be hanging out with Bruce and the rest of his motley crew as we're taking on giants. God, I hate giants. And Sunday, yes, Sunday is a very special day. This coming Sunday, we're reviewing one of Shadow's favorite movies. It has Jim Belushi and John Ritter. Now, I got questions about this movie, and one of them is, what's up with John Belushi's dad? I got so many questions and so little time. The movie is Real Men. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You can find it on YouTube. I think Bruce did a review on it a while ago, but that's okay because we did a review on Dune and the Crackhead Show movie that it is, because that movie.
Wait, which version of Dune? New
The
Dune?
normal. Oh, there's like 3 different versions of it. So
There's one from 1984, which is Cronenberg. There's the 1999 or 2000 sci-fi version.
Oh no, the old one, the original one.
Okay.
With David, the one that David, I thought it was David Lynch that directed it.
Yeah, it was Lynch. My bad.
Okay, yeah, we did that one.
Cronenberg would be an awesome version.
Yeah, I know. I was like, is there a version I didn't know about? But no, it's David Lynch.
I want the Cronenberg version now. Thank you very much.
If you don't know who David Lynch is, he is the one who directed Twin Peaks, which is an old 90s show that was just kind of something. But yeah, we're doing Real Men. That sounds weird. We're reviewing Real Men, and I got questions because I think they miscast somebody and they should have put Bill Murray in it because somebody's acting like Bill Murray a whole lot. That's what I got going on. What about you, Baron? Anything special?
I got nothing.
Nothing.
I might get pulled into the rando stream. I don't know, but I will be around. Yeah.
Not that the rest of us are not worthy of it. I do want to congratulate you on a successful rando stream with a bunch of people. I do appreciate watching those whenever I'm not like scrambling for topic information or for a Janet stream. But you guys had a really good stream from what I heard, and from what I got a chance to see, it was enjoyable to watch. It looked like Max has actually got his dream panel, and then the week following that, he only had two of the 5 guests that he wanted show up, and I was like, I've been there.
Yeah, the 1 2 weeks ago with Bear, myself, Yo Geek, who else is on? Mr. Max Boivon.
Yep.
And then of course Vic. Yeah, we actually had a good time with that one, and you know it was really we really didn't step on each other. We really didn't. We did little nitpicks at each other, but it was nothing that was like, you know, it was kind of like here, you know, we all, you know, nitpick at each other, you know, we do stuff like this all the time where we just kick Connell out just for S's and G's. No one ever notices when he's gone, because I'm sure he doesn't even notice that he's gone right now because he was looking at his phone and he's flipping me off. I can see this. But yeah. But you know, it's little things like that, and you know, we were sitting there talking about a few things, and one thing is the same thing that I feel about this. We may fight. We're brothers. We fight. But let somebody screw with one of us, they have to screw with all of us. We can screw with our own, but let someone outside screw with us? No, sir. That ain't happening.
So basically, we're House Merrick.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
We're a dysfunctional family.
Civil War time. Okay, come on.
As dysfunctional as we may be, we're still a goddamn family.
Yeah.
Not family.
Yeah. Yeah, the only people who can fight House Merrick is House Merrick, and fuck anybody else who tries.
And you know what? I'm the redheaded stepchild, so fuck y'all.
Oh, God damn it. House Andy, get the fuck back in line.
Where did I put my beer?
All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you much for joining us. We do definitely appreciate it. Make sure you do join us next week when we're going to do part 2 of this, since we didn't get all the way through it. And then we'll actually next week, TCG will be joining us again because he'll actually be going over his game, which starts the following week. So he'll walk us through a few things and everything else. So we want to thank everybody, and we will catch you next week. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Happy
everybody.
trails.
Night, everybody.